As the saying goes, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Only in these partisan times, if you work for Trump, you may be asked to just get up and leave. Just ask White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who tweeted this over the weekend. Last night I was told by the owner of Red Hen in Lexington, Virginia, to leave because I work for POTUS, and I politely left. Cue the partisan tweets. The restaurant owner, for the record, says she has no regrets, but that it's a moral issue. This, of course, on the heels of last week's heckling of the head of Homeland Security.
Shame! Shame! Shame!
Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen was dining on Mexican food, that's right, Mexican food, when protesters, angry over the administration's practice of separating families at the U.S.-Mexico border, disrupted her meal. Nielsen ended up leaving the restaurant. Celebrities, not necessarily shy about their politics, are in some cases expressing them publicly, vocally, and with a heaping helping of expletives.
I'm going to say one thing, Trump.
And I turned around, and Paul Ryan was walking towards me. And he came over, just grabbed my hand, and I'm shaking his hand. I don't know what to do. And he said, can I have a picture with you? And I look over, and his kids are standing right there, expectantly, clearly fans of mine. And I said, no way, man.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless. He listens to you.
Samantha Bee did apologize. What has become clear, not many are heeding former First Lady Michelle Obama's golden rule.
When someone is cruel or acts like a bully, you don't stoop to their level. No, our motto is, when they go low, we go high.
Joining me to discuss whether going low is a winning strategy, Tina Opie, Assistant Professor of Management at Babson College. Hey there, Tina.
Hi.
Christopher Myers, co-owners of Myers & Chang and Flower Bakery. Hey, Christopher, nice to see you. And Joe Malone, Trump supporter and former Massachusetts Treasurer. Joe, it's good to see you as well. Let me start with you, Christopher. Many critics of Trump have decided to reject that advice from Michelle Obama. They on to something?
No.
Why?
Well, I align myself with Michelle Obama. I say always go high. Always go high. I think that I'll tell you a very brief story about my Uber driver on the way over here. He's from Egypt. I asked him if he knew about what was going on with the situation. And I said, if you owned a restaurant, what would you do? And he said, well, in Egypt, if that happened, he goes, I'd probably never be seen again. He goes, but in America, he goes, I'd be afraid to do it, but I am so grateful that I'd be able to do it.
So if Sarah Huckabee Sanders tonight went to Myers & Chang, you'd say, welcome in. What do you want for an appetizer?
I thought I knew. And
you're not a big Trump fan, I think it's fair to say, yes.
I'm not. Not a big Sarah Huckabee fan either. But I thought I knew my position at the beginning of the day. I knew that I was going to be sitting next to Joe. I was I believe in a philosophy, hospitality is not a hat, that you always use the best manners possible, no matter the situation. I would absolutely invite her in.
You're a Virginia kid, aren't you?
Yeah, Alexandria.
Okay, and this is obviously Lexington, Virginia.
Yep.
What do you think of what the owner did there?
So I sort of agree with Christopher, but I do think, there's going to be a but. We have to ask ourselves, where is the line?
Exactly.
Where is the line?
What's the answer?
So I think...
Outside the restaurant door.
Outside the restaurant. Well, okay, that's one line that we can talk about, but I mean philosophically. So what kind of behavior would Sarah Sanders had to exhibit for this to be appropriate, for us to think that the restaurant owner should have...
And what would that have been?
I mean, I think she's really close to the edge. I think she's very close to the line.
What more could she do to get over the edge, Tina?
I mean, I think if she was actually admitting that she was not telling the truth, if we could verify that.
Isn't that a distinction without a difference, realistically?
No, it's an important difference, because if we know her impact, I don't think we know her intent necessarily, and I think that's important in this conversation.
I'm guessing that for one of the first times you may agree with David Axelrod, key advisor to Barack Obama, and obviously he's on CNN now. Here's what he tweeted. Kind of amazed and appalled by the number of folks on the left who applauded the expulsion of press secretary and her family from a restaurant. I'm not sure it was her family, by the way, but in any case, this in the end is a triumph for real Donald Trump. Visions of America now are divided by red plates and blue plates. Hashtag sad. So you're with these guys.
So I'm of the opinion that, look, have at it, have a healthy debate, but telling someone you can't come into my restaurant, or even the White House Correspondents' Dinner where they invite a comedian in who attacks her as Sanders as she's sitting on the head table is ridiculous.
So, for example, if Michelle Wolf, when she was at that dinner, had called, I don't know, Rosie O'Donnell a fat pig, or a slob, you would have been disgusted.
No,
right?
it goes both ways. Republicans and Democrats have let this thing get out of control.
Including your guy, Donald Trump.
Yeah, and that it is way too personal and hateful. Absolutely. And unfortunately, I think it's here to stay. I don't see it going away.
But if he does it, and I don't mean he,
Right.
if Donald Trump does it, and he got elected president of the United States, isn't this almost like disarming? You know, Michael Dukakis was the victim of vicious ads in 1988, and I think if he was sitting here, he'd say he didn't fight back. He decided to take the high road, and as a result, he was not the president of the United
Yeah,
States.
he was a gentleman. He didn't get far being a gentleman. I agree with you.
So do you not worry about that in 2018?
I don't worry about it in the context of a hospitality setting. I know that it's ridiculous.
That's not arbitrary.
No.
You know, you're a pretty principled guy. Can I read you what the owner of this restaurant said and see if her name is Stephanie Wilkinson, owner of the restaurant. She told the Washington Post, "I'm not a huge fan of confrontation. I have a business. I want the business to thrive. This feels like the moment in our democracy when people have to make uncomfortable actions and decisions to uphold their morals." That doesn't move you at all?
They were halfway through their meal. They'd invited
the
them
cheese
in.
boards
They
were
showed hospitality.
Right.
She was enjoying.
Okay, let's leave.
Wait till she leaves.
Let's leave the restaurant.
Sure.
You okay with Seth Rogen saying, "Ryan, no photograph"?
I think what Seth Rogen did was brilliant.
How about Robert De Niro? A standing ovation at the
Didn't care for it. And De Niro's my favorite actor.
So how do you
Didn't care for it.
decide what is okay and what is not okay?
I think.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, no,
Why am I looking at you next?
Well, Rogen understands the power of the image, and he doesn't want Ryan with an image of a guy who's pro-marijuana, very left-wing in his beliefs, having a picture of him, Paul Ryan, with this very cool guy and his kids, just sends a really
Samantha
deceitful
Bee,
message.
her message was one I would assume you agreed with every word of until she used that word at the end. Is that not true?
I don't know. I just watched it and I laughed.
Okay.
So I'm a little ashamed of myself.
How do you help? Can you help him out, by the way?
Well, so see, I'm going to take a slightly different.
Well, I think you do actually.
Okay.
How do you decide what's okay and what's not?
Well, so I want to make another point, which is I think we need to stop. We're looking at civility as sort of the standard. What about justice? Because I think that is what we should. I would love us to have this conversation on this panel with you about when does civility cede to the pursuit of justice? Would you have excused? Okay, and I'm not, just bear with me. I'm not comparing this people to the current administration, though some have. But let's say Stalin or Hitler was in your restaurant. Well, you'd be dead if you dismissed them, but let's just say that that wasn't the case. Would you stand up and say something to them? Where's that line that I mentioned earlier?
Right. Well, I'm only laughing because I've had this conversation with 25 people today once I decided I was going to come on. Everybody brought up Hitler. I don't think that the Trump administration is that fascistically.
Seth Moulton likened his rise to that of Trump's rise to that.
I think we're in. I don't think we're in that.
So I got to jump in. I got to jump in.
Yeah.
We are not even close to it. Black unemployment is down. Hispanic unemployment is down. The war with ISIS, which was on the front page every day, isn't even mentioned anymore.
Did you hear about him splitting up 2,300 kids from their families?
Yeah, I did. And you know what? I saw Secretary Johnson, who worked for Obama, on TV this weekend. He said, this is not as easy a problem to solve as people think. And inferred in what he was saying was, I had to do some things that weren't real pleasant.
With serious criminals, if you listen to everything Secretary Johnson, when there's serious criminals coming across the border, they separated their kids from them. That was a minuscule number as compared to these 2,300.
How do you differentiate between a serious criminal and maybe someone who is an innocent person running to the border for the American dream?
So treat everybody like they're criminals then. That's basically what you're arguing. You're
I'm saying that
if they're coming across the border illegally, then we need to act as though...
No, Tina, you know the game that's being played here.
No, I'm not playing the game. I'm being legit.
Let him go and then you go.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
The Democrats will not do the sensible thing, which is to spend, relatively speaking, peanuts to build a wall so there is a secure border, and then you don't have this problem.
But Joe,
they're playing
fair?
politics.
Is that fair? You're saying they're playing politics.
People think we're going to build a wall.
One at a time.
Why wouldn't it?
Well, I guess what I'm going to say is when you, I know that you're a Republican. I'm a registered independent.
But I'm a conservative.
And I don't have a horse in this game. What I'm interested in is my children and your grandchildren, whatever, having a viable future. When you say the Democrats aren't willing to spend peanuts, you are making it a partisan issue. What we should all be thinking about is, again, where's the issue of justice in this, regardless of partisanship?
Well, can I get
Stop
you're
trying to get
talking
elected.
principle? Can I bring it down to a lower level?
I'm a professor.
Tactics. The goal, I mean, to quote his guy, is winning.
Yeah.
Do the Democrats?
Well, I don't think
they're
that's
surely
divisible.
not winning being nice.
Yeah.
So is it possible being not nice and upsetting him inside his restaurant, causing you to be on the line? Is it possible by being not nice, not civil, that they may end up winning? Maybe they make a Nielsen uncomfortable enough to not be willing to do that. Maybe they make Sanders uncomfortable enough that she says, I'm not willing to spout that same stuff. Do you not entertain that as a possibility?
No, because I think if the goal is to win, that's part of the problem. People are selling their consciences, on both sides, all sides, to win the election. What about justice? And when you talk about the fact that, so you're saying the economy, the world is great right now. That is just not true. It is simply not true. There are people who are afraid for their lives.
I'm not talking about the world. I'm talking
or the
about
United
America.
States, excuse me.
I'm talking about America. Things are moving in the
Which
right
has
direction.
nothing to do, though, with the quality of the debate.
who,
You get the
Joe?
last
Just
word.
finish.
I love that I'm in the middle because it's I mean, you see how polarizing this is. I think a lack of a civilized discourse is not going to get anybody anywhere. But I realize what you're saying is that
Got one guy in the White
when it comes down
House.
to taking a moral stance, maybe you need to scream louder than I'm willing to scream.
Tina, nice to see you.
Thanks,
When you
Jeff.
talk to the next 25 people, can you text me?
I will.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Joe Malone, good to see you. Thank you, Joe.